just a joke. Well, that's why it's here, so. So here's the first time I opened the hood. Looks like the truck was originally that cream color. And otherwise, it looks pretty complete. It is an air truck, which is good. That is a Edelbrock intake. So somebody's been in the motor, which after all these years, I would expect that. The engine sounds really good. Looks like we got some brake leaks right up there. That doesn't surprise me. There's a lot of, looks like tranny fluid underneath. But I mean, overall it's solid. It is a really good candidate for a Resto-Mod. It's gonna take quite a bit of upgrading though. We've got some broken glass here. I don't know if you can see that. Bunch of rubber seals. The paint, you can tell they painted, hurried up and painted it. It may have been a two-tone. There's quite a bit of filler in it, but we're not going to be dealing with body work. We're going to do door rubbers, interior panels, seats, carpet, a dash, upgrade the controls. They all shut like that, all these old Fords. I love those wheels, they're from the 90s. Yeah, you can see that they didn't even tape it very good when they painted it. Not sure what you'd find under there, but one thing's for sure. I looked underneath and it's dry, you know. The frame's good so far, what I can see of it. The floors are pretty solid. I don't see any rot. That big giant transfer case, you know that's going to be heavy. Ooh, it's like a good Ford 9-inch rear end, but I see a lot of oil coming out of it. We may have to look at that. Big sway bars, which is good. That means it probably came factory with the towing package. Yeah, that's my guess. These bumpers are replaceable. That one's kind of bent. Here's the big kicker. You put a key in here and turn it if this window comes down or not. Let's find out. Oh, that's a big owie right there. I'm gonna guess this old worn key. Let's see if I'm right. Yeah, that's a negatory. Yep. Well, they all need motors. Look at that old JVC cassette deck. How awesome. Sounds like I hear an electric fuel pump. I know when you push on the brakes with it running, you can hear this massive vacuum leak. It's almost like a hiss. Probably can't hear it on camera. The motor though, the engine itself sounds good. I hear a squeaky belt. I got the air on, but that clutch isn't engaged, so I'm assuming the air doesn't work, which I'd be shocked if it did. Yeah, that's the alternator valve. I can tell by the bounce. But I mean, these trucks are so cool. They're only offered for 2 years. This is just a really cool thing. We're gonna make this right. We're gonna make this modern. Okay, so this vehicle is going to get upgraded everywhere, but for time being, I need it to run so it will move in and out of the garage. But right now we have a no spark. And I had this yesterday. As soon as it was brought here, I turned it around and now I have no spark. So I've been doing some preliminary testing. My first thought was coil, so I went and got one, and it's not the coil. So I did some reading, and the only thing you have basically is this DuraSpark module, which is right here. Those are known to go bad. That's already an aftermarket one, I can tell. You also could have a bad ground coming out of your distributor, and I do need to check for the pulse on this negative side. But I mean, you can tell overall that whoever was working on it did the bare minimum. And it really doesn't run that great. The engine sounds good, but it doesn't run right. So it's all coming out. We're gonna upgrade it all, but I need this to run under its own power. So let me see what else I can come up with, because it absolutely has to move. Well, with the key on, I can hear that pump running. I'm gonna try to bypass the ignition switch. Okay. Well, the module's all right. The thing sounds like it's running on half the cylinders, but at least it's running. So we probably have a faulty ignition switch. Probably. We'll see if I can get it to stay running. It's a good solid truck with a Coyote engine and new powertrain underneath, new suspension. This thing will ride like a brand new vehicle. So we got a lot of work to do, but stay tuned and you'll get to see it happen. Okay, so now it's about 6 p.m. and I've been messing with this electrical system all day. I have changed the pickup coil, I have changed the ignition module, I have changed the standard coil, and I am now beginning to rewire the entire ignition system from scratch because I need this truck to move under its own power. I cannot be towing it around and dragging it around by myself all day, every day. So this has to run, and as of right now, I have no power to the ignition module. The exact same thing before I bought all new parts. So I'm not real thrilled at the moment. Okay, so early this morning I figured out what it was. It's actually like 3 different problems. It did need a pickup coil. It also needed the harness changed between the distributor and the module. And I bought a new module and it still wouldn't start, so I grabbed the old one, and it turns out the old one wasn't bad. It was just all the wiring. So right now it will fire and move under its own power. So we are in good shape to get this one set aside until it's ready to come apart. Real quick before I forget, I wanted to show a couple of people that are gearheads that like all things mechanical. This is a 2-stroke 215cc golf cart. And they're not very interesting, they're kind of stupid, and this one's pretty old, 1979 through 1989. The thing that struck me about this one is it wasn't very far away, and it was really super cheap. It was almost free. I had to go and get it. It said it needed a fuel pump. It did not need a fuel pump. It needed one little piece of plastic hose, and I was able to fire this thing up. But aside from this right here, which is pretty cool, it's a dump box in case you want to use it for yard work, which we have the quad and a little trailer for that. But obviously I cleaned it all up and I did the carb. And but the thing that's interesting about this one is the way that it goes forward and reverse. Granted, golf carts are by and large really stupid, but they do have a purpose. This one was really funky. It was really bad. I obviously cleaned it up quite a bit and got it to run. So the cool thing about this one is the way that it does this. This key, obviously, forward, and then let's say your parking brake is set. All you do is depress this pedal and it releases the parking brake and starts the engine. Now let's say you want to go backwards. You hear the alarm. Now a most amazing thing takes place. It actually starts the engine in reverse. The engine is running backwards right now. So here it is. This is the engine. And the way that they get it to run backwards is they reverse via a solenoid. They take one solenoid starts the motor forward and the other solenoid starts the motor backwards. And the way that it works is, so this starter motor is also a generator which recharges the battery. Most of them only have a ground and a big power lead on over there. But this one actually runs that in reverse. So what happens is, this is called your driven clutch, which happens after a certain RPM. This is called your primary clutch. It spins the engine backwards, fires it, and because it's a two-stroke, it doesn't care which direction it's rotating. So your primary clutch becomes your driven, and your driven clutch becomes your primary. That's why it idles really low for a second until you get a lot of throttle in it, and the thing just sort of shoots off on you because the clutching is backwards. But it's only meant for going short distances in reverse. But I just thought that was like a genius thing. Let's see if I can get it to spin forward. You should hear the solenoid click and the starter motor. Yeah, right? Now let's do it backwards. Switch that to rearward. Now that'll spin in the opposite direction, and the motor, because it's two-stroke, doesn't have any valves, doesn't have any cam chain or nothing. It just runs in reverse. Now I thought that was crazy ridiculous. Normal golf carts have a lever that operates a cable, and the cable goes back to the rear end, the actual axle, and there's a giant gear change inside of it where it just moves it from one side to the other, causing this activity to do this. And that's all that had, and the motor's still going the same way. This one, they put a much simpler rear end in it, and the rear end only does what it does. And they arrive at the reverse motion by just spinning the engine backwards and firing it in the exact same place. Super cool. Now I like things that are simple and I like things that are complicated. This one is a mix of both, and it's like a blast from the past. Wouldn't it be cool if you put your car in reverse and the engine just rotated backwards and drove it in reverse instead of all the complicated gears and transmissions? Probably not, but this is just a neat thing. I thought I'd share a couple of minutes and show you something you probably have never seen. So if you want to see this build transformed into a coyote-powered monster, please remember to like, subscribe, share, and follow this build all the way to the end. And as always, thanks for watching.